and people who care about us in Hancock County reaching out. This is, I'm just going to introduce myself. I retired from here school teaching. I didn't start here, but I came back here in 2004 and taught at the, which was Eagle Ridge, I think it's Lakeview Academy now. And so I retired there in 2020. So I have a little home here in Milledgeville, and my children, our three sons, attended and graduated from the prep school. But so just to get started here, the way I want to do this is just like 15 minutes of just trying to tell you all how we, two retired school teachers, empty nesters, are now part of possibly a landmark case that deals with property ownership and eminent domain. How our lives just flipped 3 years ago, and we have become coalition members. So just an introduction, and I want to introduce you to this gentleman first. You don't have to sit down. Introduce you to this gentleman first. This is my husband for 45 years and the father of my three children. Mm-hmm. And he was raised in Hancock County along with 5 other siblings on property that was inherited by his father and given to him by his grandfather, which is now approximately 100 years old of black land. All right. He was one of the first black children to integrate in Hancock County. Mark was one of the first black children to integrate the all-white school system back in the 60s, in Hancock County. He left Hancock County after graduation, and he graduated from Hancock Central High School in 1976 and joined the United States Army. He received an honorable discharge after 3 years, and in 1979 returned to Sparta, Georgia, and gained employment at the Milledgeville Youth Development Center, where he met me. All right, folks, I had about 6 pages. I said, I'm gonna cut it, okay? So we're gonna stop, put a pin where he is, and then let's go to my story, all right? I was born on an Army base in California, Fort Ord. It's called Fort Ord Army Base, and it's in Monterey, California. And my parents left there shortly after I was born. So my father tells the story. I was a baby in the arms when they left. And my siblings and I traveled all over the country with my dad, except for the 2 tours he had in Vietnam. He's a Vietnam vet. While my mom raised us at Fort Benning, Georgia. We were stationed. Fort Benning, Georgia was kind of our home station, but in the midst of all of that traveling, we lived in Alaska, we lived in Texas, we lived in Kentucky. So I later found out I was a traveling Army brat. Some brats didn't travel with their father, but I was a traveling Army brat. And after attending 4 high schools, which I did not go to the 12th grade, I graduated when I was 17, and I started my freshman year at the University of Georgia in Athens. Lighten the mood up a little bit of joke. My mama told me it was actually, what they did was in Columbus, we had left Texas, and I had so many quarter hours that the school board in Columbus said, hey, she's got so many hours, and I was so glad. Don't make her, she doesn't have to go to the 12th grade, she can graduate, okay? So that, after going to 4 different high schools. So my mom, I have no familiarity with Georgia, okay? Don't know Georgia at all, just don't know Georgia. So my mom says, she says, hey, you're gonna go to school, she said, you're gonna go to school in Athens. And I said, Athens? I said, Mom, don't you think that's a bit far for me to go to college? I was thinking Athens, Greece, y'all. I'm an Army child, okay? That wasn't too far-fetched, all right? And she says, no, Athens, the University of Georgia. All right. So I'm now at the University of Georgia. And so I'm in my senior year, and I'm interning at the Youth Development Center, where this guy has just gotten out of the military, and he's working there, and I meet him. Now, while I'm at the University of Georgia, I'm an Army brat, so who can tell me what courses you think I enrolled in? Come on, I'm an Army brat. Army, military, universities, all of them have them. All of them have this course of study. Okay, I'll let you in on it. ROTC. Mom and Dad, you're gonna do ROTC. Okay, you're gonna do ROTC. So while I'm in ROTC and I finish my senior year, I've met Mark, and it's my senior year, and I've signed up to go into the military as a second lieutenant. All right? So it was good I signed up before I met him, because I wouldn't have done that. But I did. So we had a short whirlwind, short romance, and now he's back into the military with me, not on active duty. I'm a second Louis. He came out, enlisted, and now he's starting this journey, across the country that took us to Germany, right? So we've lived in Germany. We've stationed in Fort Bliss. We're all over. We have 2 children. We had our second child in a castle. We're not really in the castle, but he was born in a castle, because that's where the military hospital was. And we are living in German apartments. And it's the new year in Germany in what year was it? 88. And he had brought me in to visit Sparta, Hancock County. And I told him when he took me up there in the country, I said, I don't think we're going to make it, because I don't know about living in the country, with cows and working in gardens and all that kind of stuff. But, of course, he convinced me. And then the town didn't have, it has 2 red lights then, and it still has 2 red lights. So I'm in
But I couldn't drag her away from there once we got there. Can't drag her away now.
So anyway, we're in Germany, and I'm ready to get out. I've done 12 years, and we've got 2 children. And I said, that 2 red light town I said I'd never go back to? I'm ready to go. Okay.
And that kind of brings us to where we are now.
Right.
Where we got this property that we've been living on now for what, 30
years.
30 years.
So I want to.
My father gave us.
Right now, honey, you're jumping in. I want you to jump in.
I'm trying to move you along.
Okay, I got you. So after we returned to the homestead in Hancock County, because I don't want, when people are speaking, and I'm like, how did that person get there? How did they do that? Why did they, So after we returned to the homestead, I'm going to use this word, homestead, home place, because I had never heard of that before until I moved back to the country with our children. And I was like, you know what? I've never lived in anywhere long enough to know who my kindergarten friends. I was just really fascinated with my husband to say we would go somewhere and everybody knew him. Everybody knew him, calling his name. And I said, who's that guy? Man, where did we? Oh, I went to kindergarten with him. Oh, that's my teacher. Oh, we did this together. And I was like, you know what? I just didn't even have any of that. I couldn't even tell you where I went to kindergarten or who I went to school with. So they had barns, they had cows, they had old stuff, and I'm like, this is where I want to raise my children. I want them to have some roots, okay? So this is why we came back. My second profession was to become a teacher. I taught in Hancock County. Mark returned to college, and he received a teaching degree from the Fort Valley State University.
Well, yes.
You gotta say it that way now. The Fort Valley State University. And he received his master's in administration and supervision from Georgia College State University. And I received my 6th year from Georgia College State University. Now, while our sons were attending elementary school in Hancock County, we saw they were lacking the discipline and the motivation we had at their age, and we decided to enroll them at the GMC Presley. All right? It wasn't that we thought that the Hancock County school systems were inferior or anything. It was just a way of life I had had and he had had. And the school system wasn't integrated, and it's still not integrated. And that was 30 years ago, and it's still not integrated. So once they left the 5th grade, we had them to come over to GMC prep school, and the oldest one finished. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself, all right? So without funds needed for tuition, meals, uniforms, and transportation to get them in GMC, okay? That's a lot. It was a lot of money back then. I don't know how much it is now, but it was just money we didn't have. So we're praying, folks, and we prayed about it. And what we did was we took some of the land that we had inherited and we went to the bank with it. All right? We borrowed money. Now I'm going to go somewhere with this in a little bit, all right? So we borrowed money to send 3 children, less than 3 years we were in Japan. We actually left there and taught Army kids in Japan. And our second child went to high school there. That gave us a break from tuition. But anyway, all of our boys, we were able to fund that for them through borrowing money off of land. Okay? Now, generational wealth. Generational wealth. And I'm going to talk to you about that in a little bit. Generational wealth. Now, I want to talk to you about how we became the leaders of a coalition of no railroad in our community, where we have, I've tried to kind of figure this all out. We have 4 major non-for-profits supporting us, 7 pro bono attorneys across the country. We've been the recipient of 2 grants. We've interviewed with ABC National, CBS National, NPR, Fox Macon, and AP Press. And I want to tell you, we're just some average old folks. We're just some average people, just wanted to retire, all right? And 18 property owners and 50 families and thousands of people just like you all over the country. Now I want you to know how this came about. So I need to read you a letter. I want to read our brother's letter. Okay. I'm going to read you the letter. This is how it all started with this letter.
This is from the railroad company.
This is from the railroad. It's a short letter now. It's a short letter. And it came in the mail. No phone call, no knock on the door, no county commissioners or chairman saying, hey, do you know there's going to be a railroad down through your place? No politicians, no planning and zoning meeting, nothing in the newspaper. Just this from Sandersville Railroad. All right? And I just wanted to
This is the property we use to send our children to school.
Yeah.
All the things that we were doing, we were depending on this. We were rich people. So we needed all that. And this is for everybody in here too.
I'm born and raised from Hancock County.
Are you? What's your name?
I'm a Davis.
Okay.
A Davis.
Are you a Davis?
Yes, sir.
I know where that is.
Okay, now they're gonna go back down memory lane.
Yeah, we have to go out.
Yeah, Mike, I'm gonna read this letter.
But I'm just want to make sure everybody understand why you're doing this. You know, because we were minding our own business, we were doing our thing, you know, we were sending our children to school, we were working, and we were enjoying the retirement, and then out of nowhere comes this letter.
This letter, and it's dated April the 4th, 2022. All right?
This can happen to any of us.
It said, "Dear Mr. Smith, the Sandersville Railroad plans to build a new railroad track from near Sparta southward to Hanson Aggregate Sparta Quarry. I'm sending this letter because some of your property will be required as a right-of-way for the new project. I want this process to be as minimally invasive to you as possible." When I read that, it sounded like it was a done deal.
Yeah.
What? He said, "And I ask that you work with us to accomplish this very important project." Now, for Hancock County. Cheryl Brule with CHB Acquisition Service, and he gives the cell phone number and her email address, will be leading this right-of-way acquisition effort. Not him, but somebody else. All right? I've included a questionnaire with the letter, and I hope you will complete it and return the questionnaire, guess what, in a self-addressed envelope. All right? Now, over the course of this project in the years to follow, the Sandersville Railroad and Hanson Aggregates will be making significant capital investments in Hancock County. These investments will lead to new jobs and economic activity for Hancock County and surrounding regions. I will be happy to meet with you to discuss this project. Please feel free to contact me or Cheryl Brewer with any questions. That was it. That was it in the name. Okay? Now, there was a questionnaire, and the questionnaire asked for all of our financial, asked for our mortgage company, if we had a mortgage company, asked if we had liens. It had very private information was asked on this question. Okay, so you can imagine how we're looking and reading this. Now, we're the only ones. Nobody's called. My brother-in-law hadn't called. Nobody, neighbor hadn't called. We just and we're thinking, how do you run a track across just 600 acres like that, you know, or 200 acres? I think we've got like 30 something like that. So anyway, we kind of did a file 13 with this, and we looked at each other, didn't we? And I said, well, if you don't say anything, I'm not going to say anything. That's what that's what we did. Thank God we didn't do that, because we'd be a train running through there right now. Okay, so here comes, we didn't call our family, we didn't call anybody, nobody called us. The property owners, the Garretts who are on the left, and Louis and Georgia Griggs who are on the right, nobody called. We didn't even know them. We didn't even know our property. We didn't know anybody. We didn't know these families next to us, okay? And so it was about a couple of weeks later, Mr. Garrett, our neighbor, he comes down, his wife, the property owners on the left and the right of us are white property owners, and he comes down, and he and Mark have this conversation, and it sounded serious. I didn't hear it. So fast forward, Mark comes up, he says, "Jan, this is real." He said, "Mr. Garrett's already got an attorney." I said, "What?" No, I said, "Not in the United States of America." I said, "He can't just do that." Here's letter number 2. All right. This one was in April. This is June the 29th. These are the only 2 letters I'm going to read you because they're shockers. All right. He says, now this one is from the railroad company itself. This one is from his attorney, which, by the way, he now has 2 additional attorney firms, law firms, trying to fight us. So he has 3. He had to hire 2 more law firms. So he's at 3 law firms now. But this is the one before we had any help. Now, we don't have any lawyers. We don't have anybody. We don't have any non-for-profits. It's just us, the people, just us, okay? It says, "Dear Mr. Smith, as you know, the Sandersville Railroad intends to build a railroad route which is going to run through your real property. which is identified at the Hancock County tax parcel. Now, we don't have any route. There's no route that came with this. We don't know how it's gonna come through this. And he said, as part of the project, the railroad consultants may need to come onto the property, either in person, with drones, consultants, to conduct a field survey. Now, he goes down here and he says the railroad has the right incident to its power of eminent domain. And it goes through all this legal jargon here, and it says, the case such examinations and surveys to be proposed, blah, 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 blah. Now, then he goes here and he says, the railroad has attempted in good faith to work with you to schedule the field survey, but you have not cooperated. As a result, the railroad has no choice. Now let me go. After we saw him, we wrote him back and told him we don't want to do it. Okay, so that's when no cooperation. And he said, now the railroads will do so on Monday, August the 8th. He tells us starting at 9. Now we have never seen this man. Still never seen Mr. Tarbutton, never seen any representative, never. He's communicating through the mail. He said, we hope that you will comply with your legal obligation and not interfere with the field survey of the property. And out of an abundance of caution, the railroad may ask the Hancock County Sheriff Office. So now the sheriff gonna come to be on site for the beginning of the field survey. Oh my goodness. Now we got the sheriff. We got attorneys, the sheriff, and a railroad that we never heard about involved. Okay.
This is the kind of intimidation game they were playing with us. I called the sheriff's department. The sheriff's department said he has no right to come onto your property.
Right.
But I guess we were supposed to be intimidated to the point where we were just afraid. I don't know. You know, but we stood up and we fought that thing. And I even told Mr. Tarbutton, I said, you know what, we're going to fight you to the end.
That's it.
So
after going to our politicians, after going to our board chairman, our board representatives, our district commissioner, and we say, what the world is going on? How do we, now we have no attorneys now. When we get this letter, now we go and we see he's for real. We go, our family's calling now because they're getting the same letter. So our family's calling. They're feeling the same way. What's going on? This guy's going to take. So we all come together. Mark, this is when Mark and I, we're Jesus lovers, y'all. They're just going to tell you, we love Jesus. We get on our knees because we've been all over the country, been all over the world. We've had 2 sons fight in Iraq, in combat. We sent teenagers over there to fight. My father fought in Vietnam. We've had all kind of awful things in life that Jesus God has brought us through, but this one dropped us literally to our knees. Where are we going? We're a train, cutting through your backyard. So we prayed the prayer of Jehoshaphat and said, Lord, we have no prayer and we have no power. So then I go down the road, the country way, and I start knocking on doors. Okay, so all of the property owners, we all get the letters. I say, hey, look, y'all, we got to come together now. I spend the night, Mark will know, about 3 days, all day, all night. I'm putting this little blurb in a box, and I'm in that little blurb, I'm saying, private railroad owner forces black landowners to give up their land through eminent domain, and I put some other stuff down there, and I put the letters in there, and I'm not hearing anything from anybody. Okay, I'm reaching out to all these not-for-profits, and so I go down the road, and I'm like, I don't hear anything from my neighbors down the road who have smaller plots, okay? They're on like 0.3 acres and they have the mobile homes, the nice mobile homes and the homesteads. And I'm knocking on the door and I'm like, they're like, what train? What are you talking about, Miss Smith? What train? I said, your letter. Look, we all got letters. This is a road that shows. And we finally got the route, and the route it's going right behind your house. Surely, they said, Miss Smith, we never got a letter.
And they didn't get a route.
They didn't get a letter, but the route was going literally behind their house because, folks, about 3 miles down from us, there's a quarry, a rock quarry.
They want to take rocks from the quarry.
Right.
And take them right through the community, right through the neighborhood, right behind people's houses.
Right.
It wouldn't be behind our house. And here's the other thing, and this is kind of crazy too, because we were raising so much sand about this.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
My family.
Yeah.
We talked a lot of stuff, and we did not want this thing, and they did. They took it off our land.
Not all the land. They took it off of our 30-something acres land. And when they took it off, that's right. We were at all the commissioner meetings. We were all the board meetings, planning and zoning meetings. We were writing stuff in the newspaper. We started a petition. We did all the things that we're supposed to do. So the commissioners, they said, we're going to have him come out and talk to you all, the property owners. Well, that never happened.
Never happened. So
he put together this dog and pony show, and that's when Mark confronted him and told him, you're not going to do that. You're just not going to walk away and do that to us. Okay? And 3 days later, we get a letter saying that our property would not longer be needed. But guess what? It's still Smith land. It's still all together.
My brothers and everybody else.
It's still, they thought that was going to shut us down, but all it did was make me more because of my neighbors down the road. The property behind them would be leased from another property owner, okay? And so they had no say, so they have no voice. You see what I'm saying? If he gets through ours, he's automatically got it. That's 50 families down there already around a quarry. Now, so here we are, we formed the coalition in April, May, June, July. I think I gave you all the timeline. There is a timeline. When we start the coalition, we literally fight, protest, do prayer rallies, and things on our own until the Southern Poverty Law Center reaches out to us. They're the first ones who reach out to us. When they reach out to us, they're coming together. There's four attorneys, and they're like, you know what? This is so out of our league, eminent domain. This is so out of our league. Let's reach out and get someone else to help us. And we're like, he's sending, this is not the only letter, y'all. We got about 6 or 7 letters. We formed a coalition. Everybody who gets anything, I say, if you get a call, you get a letter, let me see it. So I saw all that. Even when he starts offering money, he has to offer fair market price. So I'm looking and seeing what everybody's doing. All the letters, all the correspondence, all the phone calls, I got it. So I know what you're doing and what you're saying. So we have the Southern Poverty Law Center. They're getting this information and they're saying, like, this is over. He said, next step is the Public Service Commission. Has anybody ever heard of the Public Service Commission? I had never heard of the Public Service Commission in my life. I didn't know what they were, what they did. But his next step is to take us to the Public Service Commission. You all need to know who they are because they regulate electricity.
You need to learn about them.
You need to learn about them.
Shady.
Yes, very. Very. We didn't know. And so he takes us to the Public Service Commission, and this is the kind of God that we serve, y'all. He took us the day that he took the coalition to the Public Service Commission, it was the next day that the attorney from the Institute for Justice calls me. He said, we've been trying to get in touch with you. I'm not going to cry, y'all. It's been emotional, very, very emotional. You see my husband there. He became ill after the CBS 40 Acres in the Mule. They came out and did a mini doc, and it was like we went through about 4 or 5 months. We didn't know what was wrong with him, and then they later diagnosed him with Parkinson's. And he was the most active, energetic. He was the one that pulled all of our men together, pulled all of that community together, just did. He was doing it. I've had to step up. I was the secretary. I was the glorified secretary. He was the mouthpiece and called everybody. So I had to step up. But anyway, they called us and they said, how soon do you need us to get there? I said, you're already late. And they were there. And they have been there with us. The Southern Poverty Law Center, Institute for Justice, Ogeechee River Keepers, I'm trying to think, Southern Environmental Law Center. I say to myself, Lord, there must be something in it if these folks are still with us. Okay, we're going on year 3. So this isn't the first letter that he's written. And let me tell you our successes. 1, that there's no train back there. 2, they wanted to expand Heidelberg. If you've ever heard of it, Heidelberg Materials bought the quarry from Hanson, and they are the largest producers of granite rock in the world. And they partnered with Benjamin Tarbutton and the Sandersville Railroad. Okay? So the Public Service Commission, they had the hearing. We just knew we were going to just prove all of this information, all of the subject matter experts. We just knew it was going to be over right there. Well, there was one hearing officer. One hearing officer said that Benjamin Tarbutton. Now, Sandersville Railroad is owned by his mother and his 2 sisters and him. All right? They deemed that he had public use. He had to prove that he had public use. Well, folks, every letter he's ever given us, everything he said in the media, guess what he said the purpose of that train was? Economic development. Now, that's what he said. It's in writing. He wrote it in the letters, but when he realized that we had some attorneys, and Bill Maher wrote him and said, look, guy, you can't take these folks' properties because of economic development. He changes. He flips the whole thing. And he says, oh, Scrap, I'll go get 4 of my friends down in Sandersville, and they're going to truck their things. Now, Sandersville already has a major line there. What is it, Norfolk Southern? No, Sandersville already has, Norfolk Southern there. They already have Norfolk Southern. Okay, that's a trade route there, Norfolk Southern. He goes and he tells the Public Service Commission, and they come in and testify. No contract, there's no contract with them. But they says that they are going to use his spur. That makes it public use.
That makes it what? I'm sorry, I missed that part.
That makes it public use. Because before he only had the quarry. He goes and talks 4 of his, and one of the companies is his, but another guy runs it.
Right.
You got to know that Mr. Tarbutton is a millionaire.
Yeah, I think
he has a lot of money.
And politically connected.
A lot of political power. And this is what happened with the Public Service Commission. The Public Service Commission okayed everything he was doing. And we know that it shouldn't have been that way.
Now,
and so we're still trying to fight this thing. You know, and I'm gonna tell you, it's a Herculean endeavor to try to fight something like this. You know, and
This term, they have used this term in reference to Tarbuttons, because he's a third generational railroad owner, folks. He's third generation. He's third generation railroad owner, all right? So, I want you to focus on this word, generational wealth. You want to see that word? Do you want to see the word generational wealth? I want you to focus. It's a takeaway. I'm a school teacher, and every good school teacher has a takeaway. Then I'm going to let y'all give me some Q&A, all right? Now, that word, I kept hearing that word, generational wealth. Generational wealth? Why do they keep talking about generational wealth? And then they were trying to define it by generations or having this and having that and stuff. And so I saw.
We knew the black folks.
Yeah.
You know, this is not something that we know a whole lot about.
Right. We don't
It's
know
generational
anything.
wealth.
So when I saw this in the magazine, I said, okay, so I want us to read this together where it says generational wealth. You all see where it starts with generational wealth, the paramount of significance? Okay, can we read that together? On the count of three now. Because you might take it home, put it to the side, and not think about this. But if you in your mind, because this is for everybody in this room and everybody you meet, and that's one of the things I promised the Lord that I would do, is to share my trials, my tribulations, my joys, just share it. And this right here is something that everybody can do. Now, on the count of three, we're going to read what generational wealth is. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Generational wealth is of paramount significance. Oh, we're slow now. We're slow. We got to go back. Come on now. Come on now, because this is important. 1, 2, 3. Generational wealth is of paramount significance as it represents a beacon of financial stability. Did y'all get that? Financial stability. Okay, let's pick up that next sentence. 1, 2, 3. It serves as a tangible testament to the hard work, diligence, and financial, acumen of previous generations, offering a solid foundation upon which future generations can build their dreams and aspirations. Is that not powerful? Is that not powerful? When my husband and I went to the bank in Hancock County and borrowed that money for those kids to go to GMC, we used generational wealth. That's what I didn't know what we were using.
And now we got somebody asking us to give it to him.
Right, well, I didn't know that was what that was. I just knew that tuition needed to be paid. And the bank guy wanted, he said, what you got? I said, well, we got some land. He said, well, give it up. All right? So today, from that generational wealth comes one accountant, PricewaterhouseCoopers. And I am not bragging, God the glory. One accountant, but 2 tours Vietnam. He did 2 tours in Vietnam. Came back, went over here to Georgia College State University, got his master's in accounting. He's now a senior accountant with Pricewaterhouse and Cooper. Hey, number 2 guy, generational wealth, GMC, software engineer, Georgia Tech, Square, software engineer, Square. All right, generational wealth, third baby boy. I ain't gonna tell you how old we were when we had him. All right, I ain't gonna tell you. I just tell you a lot of sleepless nights. But anyway, University of Georgia, Terry School of Business, FinTech, up at Prime Revenue. Why? How? Generational wealth. We ain't had no money out. It still ain't happening. That's why we got all these programs. It still ain't happening. Okay? Generational wealth.
But we do want to help other people like us. You know?
Yes.
If you got somebody in your community taking away your generational wealth,
yes.
what do you think your family is?
If he is able, if Mr. Tarbutton is able to get eminent domain through the courts, the property that has Smith on it will have Smith, he cutting straight through it. He says all of his attorneys now are saying, oh, it's just a little strip. Cutting strip through. Do we know what a strip? If somebody cut a strip through your house or slice through your home, we know the value of it, right? It devalues your house. This devalues property. Well, let me tell you, when he puts that, if that happens, because I've asked the attorneys, I've asked people who know about this stuff, they said that he will always own that. He will forever own it. Your sons will own it. His children will own it. Now, is that anything right in the United States of America? My husband's great-grandfather held on to that in the 20s, a sharecropper, worked for it, earned it, got the deed for it. Now we have a gentleman who came up with a bright idea to make more money, because he told them at the PSC, he said, I got $25 million I can lose. And if you want it, I can take you to his testimony. Everybody had to do testimony. We testified. And the hearing officer said, you didn't do a feasibility study on it. Bill Maher from there said, you never did a feasibility study. They're saying this thing going to cost you $25 million, man. You got $25 million of your family's money that you can use? Do you know what he just said up there and said? Yeah. Yep. Then he said,
I got the money without your money.
We can show you the testimony. You can go to it. Then he says, well, what about the people when you take their land? What if this doesn't work? What about the people? Do you know what he said? They can buy it back from me. Come on.
Buy your land back.
Everybody just, are you serious? Are you talking?
Don't get too emotional, Gene.
Now,
but this is what we've been dealing with, though. Yeah. You know,
and that's the last thing I got for everybody. Go on, honey. You go on and talk. And I'm
gonna let you finish.
Now, this is the last thing I want to do, and we want to do Q&A. I want you to take, y'all see this picture right here? I went and took my family's picture. This is some of my yummies right here. I have two daughter-in-laws and a granddog. I ain't got no grandbaby, but that's all right. They want me to have a granddog. Okay? So pray for me some grandbabies, some real people. So I took this, and I want you to do it when you go home. Now, generational wealth doesn't have to be land, okay? It doesn't have to be land. You can say, in your family, you might be the first generation to go to college, all right? You can say, every generation after my generation will go to college. Okay, maybe you want somebody like, Mr. Raymond over here. He's a business owner. He can say to his family, I want everybody in my generation and the generation after me, or the generation, I want them to have generational wealth through being a what? A business owner. Okay? Just whatever you put your mind to and you think about it, because I never thought about it. How empowering that is for my sons are fourth generation. 4 generations. I never even thought about it that way. We 3 generations from one generation that who worked hard. You see that word? That word? Hard work, diligence, and I ain't gonna tell y'all what all we did without while them kids were going to school. I'm not gonna tell you what we didn't have, okay? While those kids went to school, because we had to cut back. We had to cut way back. No Christmases. We had to pay property taxes. We had to da-da-da-da-da. So whatever you think about it, you have to establish that. Ben Tarbutton's dad did that for him. Did it for his granddaddy. He's, 1, 2, 3? He's doing it. Ben Tarbutton has, my kids immediately when this happened went to the, what's that site that everybody gets jobs through? LinkedIn. And Googled Ben Tarbutton and found that he has a son at Georgia Tech. He not only does he have a son, he has a daughter too, because he brought them up to the PSC and paraded them around the place. Okay? CBS from New York, when they called me and they wanted to do 40 acres and a mule, they asked me, Miss Smith, can your sons come and be a part of this? I said, no way. No way. Stay on up in New York. I said, because by the time they got down here and finished that interview, they wouldn't have those jobs that they got, okay? So just say, oh, we don't, you know. I said, don't do that. Don't do that. My baby, they don't have any jobs, okay? So I was saying that to say, and I'm going to end it right there. Generational wealth is for everybody, everyone. No one should be not thinking in their mind about their next generation, somebody in their